Don't be mixing up
I just
items.
didn't order, that's all.
I bring my own.
Oh, we're up.
Glory, glory.
Good evening. Welcome to the DerryCAM Council Budget Workshop of April 13th, 2023. Please stand for the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I'll do roll call. Councilor Churchill.
Good evening.
Councilor Spencer.
Good evening.
Councilor Kaczmarski. We're past.
Good evening. How come you forgot my name?
Councilor Grassi.
Good evening.
Councilor McGagnon.
Good evening.
And good evening from the chair.
She moved or something?
Yeah, she's quick. All right, so this evening we'll be going through the public safety budget. First up is,
Please.
I don't know,
Police?
let me think. Okay,
Please.
police.
Okay.
Blue team.
Here he comes.
It was, but. The book says one thing, the slide says something else.
Thank you. Good evening, Council. With me this evening to present the budget is Captain David Michaud, and in the back, Lieutenant Sean O'Donoghue will pick up if we drop anything. I hope not. Where is the mouse to control the...
Chief, you'll just use the space bar or the
Space bar?
arrows today?
Alrighty.
No. Threw me off.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, for the FY24 budget request, it fully funds one new part-time police prosecutor. We added that position in this current budget, FY23, with an offsetting revenue. We hired, as you may recall, we entered into a contractual agreement with Chester to provide prosecutorial services for the town of Chester, and we're successfully doing that now. We have 59 full-time police officers, that's our allotted strength, accounted for in this budget, 4 part-time police officers, which only 2 are occupied, presently 2 of those spots. Overall, we have a workforce of 72 full-time and 4 part-time civilians. So this year, personnel accounts account for $10,061,368. That's a 2.5% increase over last year, as you can see. That includes collective bargaining agreement adjustments. It includes New Hampshire retirement system contributions, 2 SROs at Pinkerton Academy, which have a corresponding revenue stream because we bill Pinkerton Academy for those 2 positions. And that includes an increase in overtime costs to cover, you may recall the town administrator briefed you on a change in the way the courts are doing business now. It's what I term a cattle call arrangement. The courts will set trials for a specific date and time, and they've done away with trial management conferences where we could dispose of cases before they get to trial. So basically now what we have to do is subpoena every witness, civilian and police officer, to court for that trial day. Whether the trial will actually happen or not, we have to have them there and be prepared. So that's caused us to, basically with our overtime request for court overtime, it caused us to triple that request. Operations and maintenance lines, as you can see, $432,102 this year. That's a 19.7% increase, with the caveat that there are no new programs or equipment this year. There is some replacement equipment, but nothing new. Gasoline, electricity, and HVAC costs, energy costs, account for $47,000, $47,645 of that $71,000 increase. There's a slight training cost increase of $8,500 and several minor increases and decreases in other accounts. Capital projects this year, we're looking for $436,020. That's a decrease from last year from $610,192. We do have one new vehicle in the budget request this year, and that is to replace a division commander's vehicle. It's 2014, coming up on 10 years old in this particular budget. We're going to change out and update our taser equipment inventory, and we have a Motorola maintenance agreement in there for $83,800, as you can see. There is no debt service reflected in our budget and our activity center. That's in the OMO. You may have already seen that last Tuesday. Overall police expenses are $10,496,470. That accounts for the 3.14% increase over last year. Primarily, that's, as I said, energy costs and personnel. Revenue accounts this year, we're looking for $406,112 that we're predicting. That's a 19.13% increase over what we predicted last year. That includes $250,560 for the SRO program. And just so I can explain how that works, if you're not familiar with it, we take the entire cost of a police officer over a year, and we divide that cost, amortize it over 180 days, 180 school day calendar. And that's how we bill. We bill at the 180-day rate. So we bill for the entire year over 180 days. We accounted for $28,674 to replace rifle inventory this year, and we're going to do that with a revenue. So that's a net cost of zero to the taxpayer. And budgetary use of fund balance, again, for a drone project, again, net zero to the taxpayer. So our net budget is $10,090,000, 358, 2.5% increase, as you can see, and again, primarily increase in personnel and energy costs. Our budget begins on page 204, as you know, and happy to answer any questions for the Police Activity Center.
Thank you. Questions? Mr. Churchill. I was just the right person.
All
right. I think you answered this, Chief. I flagged for questioning the training and conference. I know there's an increase there.
Yes.
I just wanted to know, were you doing extra training or extra conferences, but I think you said the cost of the...
There is a bit of an extra cost there. We budget technical accident reconstruction classes. And last year, we had 3 classes budgeted. This year, we budgeted 6 because we need to add a patrol officer to that team.
Okay.
We're kind of heavy right now. People have been promoted from that unit. So everybody that's on that unit now is either a lieutenant or a sergeant. So we're looking to get some younger staff trained to do accident reconstruction.
Okay.
So that accounts for about a $3,300 increase of that.
Yeah. And the other line that I looked at was gasoline. Obviously, we all know gasoline went up.
Yep, $3.50 a gallon is the budgeted number this year.
Recommended, yes. Let's see. So it looks like an increase of, call it 28,000.
It's a substantial increase, yes.
Yeah. I do have a question as well. How are we doing in dispatch?
We're fully staffed in dispatch.
We are?
Yes.
Okay, great.
We have one trainee that's just about to be cut loose to assign the solo shift now.
Okay, how about offices?
Well, yeah, let me get to that. I did bring that with me. I can give it to you.
That's okay.
We have 3 vacancies in the ranks for patrol officers right now. I have 4 officers that are in various states of training. One we just hired this week.
Yeah.
There are 3 that are in the academy presently. I have 1 in military leave, and I have 1 on workers' comp, and that accounts for 9 vacancies in the schedule.
Okay. You don't have any sign-on bonuses or anything?
We do not offer any sign-on bonuses.
Okay. That's enough questions for me for now.
I didn't even raise my hand, but you assumed I had a question. That's good. I know we just funded, the fire station last year. This is more of a statement than a question. I know many years ago when the police station got built, I sat here and we also did an addition somewhere in the early 2000s. So that station's pretty old. My assumption, because the population's gone way up, is you guys are probably busting at the seams.
That's an accurate assumption.
Okay. So I'm going to ask maybe that we flag this. This isn't necessarily a question for the chief or the staff. I'm going to ask that we flag this, and this may be my own, the new kid on the block type of thing. When you did the review of the fire station, was there a facility study done to also include the police station?
Yes.
So could we revisit that? I think, in the eyes of long-term capital planning, I think we need to look at this facility also in whatever state that means. It could be adding, it could be moving. I mean, there's many manifestations of what we could do here. But we would be remiss if we didn't start looking at this now and trying to figure out what to do. Because I'm well aware how old that building is. I'm just asking, what do we need to do as a council to kick that off?
The study we completed was back in December of '21, about a year and a half ago. So what I would suggest the council do is review that report and see what holes are in it. You have it on that thumb drive I shared with you, it's right on there. It's because we did the study only 18 months ago, so I'm just curious as to what direction the council will go for further action. I
Okay.
just need direction.
No, I appreciate that, Dave, thank you. I think it's necessary to bring it up. And I know there's been multiple manifestations of, individual projects versus a joint project, and, we went back over that years ago, Phyllis, you recall, I'm sure. But now with, the fire station's been determined and moving forward, I think we gotta do the same. In addition to the police station, David, does the thumb drive also include any facility studies for everything else across the board in the town?
We've not done any other facilities, just the public safety facilities, as the rest of our facilities are pretty much in good shape at this point.
So, Tommy Carey and Mike Fowler, everybody's okay with what we got, you don't think? I mean, I'm kind of looking at it more from I'll use the term growth management perspective, and doing a 20-year plan and seeing where we think we may need something and start mapping it out on a spreadsheet and coordinating that with the two schools and trying to time align everything so we can minimize the tax effect. That's something that I'd like to work on as part of the fiscal committee that I've been assigned to. So work on that with you and the CFO, and I think we need to get together with everybody and start looking at that well down the road. The time to start planning's now, not when we need it. And I think we may be overdue in the police facility. That's nothing for you guys to answer, it's just an observation and an opinion, sorry.
I'll just add a little historical perspective. Our building was constructed in 1985. We occupied it in July of 85, 84, 85 construction. We put a 12,500 square feet when we built it. We put a 4,000 square foot on in 2006. 1999, we added a freestanding garage maintenance structure in the back. So that brings us to where we are today.
I had a question.
Just, that was my question, my number one question.
I stole your question?
Yeah, well, that's number one. Number two, I'll let you guess what it was.
I know what number 2
It wasn't a
is.
helicopter.
No, I know what number 2 is.
Council Churchill.
I was just
And
gonna,
I won't steal your number 2 then, too.
just from a perspective of what we did in the past, we did look in 2021, we looked at combining, that number came out to like 50 million. The council at the time decided that that would have been outside of the tax cap, and they chose to go and do the fire station first because it was older in 1971, and that's because we were able to bond that inside the cap. I have no problem with what you're saying. The only other thing is we got to be very careful, because we were very, very lucky with the fire station that the bond, the bond rate was like 2.51,
3.6.
3.6. So the rates are much higher now, but
Yeah, and I'm not saying to do it tomorrow. It's
No,
gonna
no,
take a
right.
while to look at it, figure it out, and, maybe the optimum time is when the rates go down.
Right.
And you gotta look at it. But let's be clear, building 2 single facilities is gonna be more expensive than a single facility.
Well, good news, like I said, 18 months ago, we had that study, so it should be fairly relevant still.
Yep.
I'll
that's fine.
redistribute the study so folks can familiarize themselves with it.
Yep.
Yep.
More for
Okay,
planning
questions?
purposes than anything else.
No, I can steal your question,
Everybody wants to steal your
Have at it.
question,
No.
Mr. Chair.
but go ahead.
I yield.
We all wanna steal your question.
All right, it wasn't a helicopter, chief. It was kind of a little small in that.
Perfect.
horses, he wants horses.
And it has 4 legs.
All right, so I've been asking about a K-9, seeing if it's something that's feasible down the road, not necessarily this year, but in the future sometime. And again, my reasoning for the question on that is being the 4th largest community in the state, and then not the biggest high school in the state, and our daily traffic and things that come through here, and we have a pretty good population size, you know, the campsites and things like that, and golf courses and entertainment, so that's where I was coming up with this. So everyone around us is having it, has a canine. I just think it would be feasible to at least
Some
study it.
several.
At least, huh?
Some several.
Yeah.
Some, the people around us.
So again, at least to look into it and see what our options are. So that's where
So I would be happy to do that. I would embrace a K-9 program. I'll give you the caveat, though, that it wouldn't be my recommendation that we do it within my existing staff of 59 officers. That would be an addition. It's kind of a nice to have. It's not a need to have necessarily, but it's a nice to have function and an ability, have that tool in our toolbox. If in order to do a K-9 program properly, I think you would probably need to have at least 2 K-9 teams, so you'd have 16 hours of coverage per day.
Right.
There's nothing worse than needing a K-9 and, oh, he's on vacation, or he's not here today, he's off tomorrow, he's here tomorrow, he's off today. So if we could ensure double coverage, that would get us there. So that would be in the table of organization number 60 and 61, in my view. So we're not talking about just adding the cost of a dog and upfitting a cruiser and a kennel at whatever handler we choose at their home, and then feeding and care. We're talking about an additional $120,000 a year per officer, $130,000, depending on what it's going to cost for salary and benefits for that officer.
Yeah.
And I would certainly be willing to do that and talk about that in the future.
Yeah, I think it's something that, you know, just like with all the other studies we're doing, I think it's something we should at least be aggressively just looking at, you know, whether it works out or not, but at least get that information, at least explore it and whatnot. So, you know, and we, mutual aid, for example, like we use it now, right, with mutual aid for that.
We do.
So if we had one, start off with one before going to 2 and use mutual aid for those off shifts and vice versa, we deploy ours mutual aid and whatnot, so.
And certainly, I wouldn't want to step into this full throat and do 2 of them at a time.
Yeah.
There would be perhaps one year and then a second one a year or 2 later.
Right.
And step into it slowly.
And again, I just think it's something that we should at least explore and find out the caveats and the cons to it, you know what I mean, so.
Well, I think we have pretty good history all around us. We have great resources. Salem PD runs 4. They run 3 patrol dogs and a comfort dog. Londonderry runs 2? 2 K-9 units. Hampstead just put 1 on. So they were all around us. They're nice to have, and I would embrace that in the future, absolutely.
We have 2 at the county now. We got one last year, and then we brought in a second dog from the Stanton group.
Yep.
Which was really good, and we have a lot of in-kind veterinarians and feed from vendors, you know, business vendors that are actually doing it. So.
Yeah, and so, do you understand? The last couple of days, my staff here has put a lot of work into researching this project quickly for me, and the Stanton Foundation will offer $27,000 to $32,000, as I understand it, over a 3-year period to assist developing a program. Cool. So we reached out to a local veterinarian. They offered to provide care for free to the municipal program. Caveats, good and bad to that, but that certainly can be explored. Local vendor for food has offered, Tractor Supply, has offered to supply us with food if we go down this road. So there are some very positive things in the community
Right.
that might come from it.
Okay. Well, again, thank you for at least looking into it. When I addressed with the town administrator, you know, it was nothing that needed to be urgent, but we just get it in the forefront and kind of put it out there and something for us to strive to work forward to, that's all.
Well, we're putting together some information, and if you want in the future, we can come sit down and have a discussion. I'll do a PowerPoint slideshow on it. And
You have staff that's interested, Chief?
I'm sorry?
Do you have staff that's interested in handling?
Way too early to determine that. I have not
You don't
put out
know.
any feelers yet.
Okay. All right.
All right, Councilor Granesi.
I just want to touch on the K-9. You mentioned PD's local health patrol. They have EOD and drug dogs?
Well, in Salem,
You do?
they have a cross-trained dog in Salem that's EOD and patrol. Londonderry, because of the airport coverage, has an EOD-trained K-9.
I was going to
yeah,
just say, because all of our K-9s, we have 6 of them, and they're all patrol, EOD, and drug. And there's also a program to get free vests for the dogs, too.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
6
I think it's a good thing to have.
Must work in Massachusetts.
We do, I do.
So, any other questions?
Yes.
So, I don't have any issue with the budget at this point. I guess my question is, with everything going on today, fentanyl and all the terrorism and all that other type of stuff, are you comfortable that we adequately covered for all of this? Like, do we need, extra outreach and things of that nature into Pinkerton or the middle schools? Is there anything more we could be doing?
We already do those things, Counselor.
You're comfortable with
Yes.
everything? There's
Yes.
no, additional thing? I mean, now's the time to ask.
Right.
So, are we?
I think
I'm
it-
just-
with respect to
I hope we're not
education
missing anything.
and
right?
outreach, I think we're doing what we can do.
Okay.
You're new to the council. I came to the council a couple of months ago and with a program to add opiate response kits to all of our AEDs in the community.
Okay.
So we're working on that. Matter of fact, there was just an article in the newspaper 2 days ago that there were 700 of those kits available for distribution across the state. So I suspect we'll be getting more than what we have now.
So at least from that aspect, we're getting a lot of support from the state and everything too? Making
Yes.
sure we're attacking every possible avenue to help us out, so you're
Yes.
comfortable with everything?
I am.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, any other questions?
I can move the bottom line if you'd like, and is it the one on the sheet? I just want to make sure.
Yeah, everyone else is done? You have questions? Brian, you good? Counselor Joe?
Mr. Chairman, I'm going to move a bottom line of $10,496,470.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion by Counselor McGuckin, second by Counselor Katz-Corus to move the bottom line. Counselor Cherichello?
Yes.
Counselor Spencer?
Yes.
Counselor Katz-Corus?
Yes.
Counselor Flood?
Yes.
Counselor Granessi?
Yes.
Counselor McGuckin?
Yes.
And chair votes yes, 7-0. And
I'll
that's-
be brief with my next activity center, animal control. You can see personnel accounts on your screen. We're looking for $80,473 this year. That's a decrease of nearly 10%. That's due to a junior level employee in that function now. We had a long-time employee, senior employee retire. We have a new animal control officer, and she's at the beginning of the pay grade, so that accounts for that decrease.
Oh, okay.
Animal control operations, we're looking for $12,946 in the O&M lines. That's a decrease of 3.7%. Capital projects, there are none. Debt service, there is none. Overall expenses, $93,419 for animal control, a decrease of 8.9%. Again, that's personnel costs. And revenues are consistent with last year, $2,800 predicted for revenue. Net expenses, $90,619 for FY '24, 9.15% decrease over the year. And I'll be happy to take any questions. That begins on page 237 of your budget book.
So I do have a question. Okay.
Counselor Katz-Corus?
Thank you. How many dogs do we have in town that are registered that you know of?
That's a town clerk question. I'm sorry, I don't know the answer to that.
Okay,
She's not here.
a lot of them.
You do?
There's a lot.
A lot of them.
Over 3,000 that are registered, 6,000 in town.
Is that right? Wow.
We're at 50% right now.
She'll be busy. Or he. Who is it?
She, Melinda
Oh,
Patterson.
of course. Yeah, good girl.
Counselor Spencer, do you have something? Oh, thank you. Counselor McGuckin?
Well, I have a curiosity question, and the propane use
Look,
actually went down.
Based on history, based on actual gallons used, we consume, and based on the guidance given to us by Public Works for a price per gallon, that's what it comes out to.
Okay, because your unit cost dropped from 2.5 to 2, and I'm like, okay, I'm just not familiar with anything going down in an energy cost at this point, but okay. I just found that unusual, but thank you for the
We'll
explanation.
double check it, but I believe it's accurate.
It's based on actual use is what we did, so.
Okay, well,
yeah.
if there are no other questions, I'll move.
Counselor Cherichello?
Yep, thank you, Mr. Chairman. So I've noticed you've got, oh, never mind. I was looking at the overtime line.
For animal control,
Yeah, so
a
is
little
it,
bit there.
so the animal control officer work Monday through Friday, set times, and then on the weekends, if there's a calling for a skunk on the road? You guys are doing that, right?
Well, the police officers generally take care of animal control calls on the weekends and nights.
Yeah, so
But
there's...
we very rarely call the animal control officer in. And we have a contract employee, if we do have dogs in the pound over the weekend or at nights that need care, we have a contract employee that comes in and does that.
Just checks on them and feeds them? and
Feeds them,
whatnot.
yes,
Okay,
correct.
all right. Cool, thank you.
I have a question, Chief. Line 291, training and conferences. So I know you have 500 is what's on there. Being a junior employee, is there any other training that you foresee down the road that may need to-
Actually, Melinda came to us with a breadth of experience and training. She's a certified animal control officer from Massachusetts. She had been to an academy in Lowell, or for the Lowell Police Department, where she worked prior to
Oh,
us.
good.
So she comes to us fully certified. That's for any conferences that come up throughout the year, that money.
Okay, so
And
she
there
doesn't
may be
need-
something that we want to send her to.
So no further training that she would be required to have?
No, we were pretty lucky to find her.
Excellent, okay.
Cool.
Anyone else?
Seeing no questions, I'll move a bottom line of $93,419.
Second.
Okay, motion by Counsel McEachran, second by Counsel Katsoukaris to move the bottom line, the revised bottom line of 93,419.
Yep.
Counsel Churchill.
Yes.
Counsel Spencer.
Yes.
Counsel Katsoukaris.
Yes.
Counsel Flood.
Yes.
Counsel Granessi.
Yes.
Counsel McEachran.
Yes.
And chair votes yes. Motion
Thank you very
passes.
much, counsel.
Thank you, Chief. Thank you, Captain.
Job.
Have a good night.
Thank you, Lieutenant. Strong work.
What the chief failed to mention is when they can't deal with like the dogs and stuff like that. they qualify.
Aw.
So,
When they're gonna start biting, they call the fire
Uh-oh.
department, right?
so before we go through this, did you want to put the Dalmatian in this line
But we were
anywhere?
just
or-
talking about, comfort dog maybe? I mean, we used
great
to
idea.
have Dalmatians in the
Are
firehouse.
we doing emergency management? Which one?
All right, Chief, which one are you doing first? You doing the
Emergency
emergency management or
management.
fire?
Well, excuse me?
Emergency management or fire
Which
first?
one are you going to do first?
We'll do, I believe EM is first on my slides, but first, introduction for the record, my name is Jim Richardson, your fire chief. This is, with me is Sean Haggard, this is your assistant fire chief. Good evening. Councilors,
Good evening.
TA, chair.
All right, emergency management.
Emergency management, it's right here.
So, for the emergency management and fire prevention emergency services, just a quick overview is emergency management, we deal with planning and training, community emergency response team type of stuff, and community notification like Code Red AM
Talk in the
radio.
microphone.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yep, thank you.
We'll be covering prevention EMF services such as fire prevention, fire suppression, EMS, emergency medical services, technical rescue, community risk reduction, and emergency communications dispatch. If you look at the emergency management expenses at 45,469, you'll see a slight increase from last year to 45,469, and that's associated just with personnel costs, the increase of the personnel costs, basically. And if you look at the fire side of it, last year we had $12,082,145. And this year, oh, I'm sorry, I'm reading this backwards. This year's 45,649. There's no revenues. For fire EMS, it's $12,082,154, but we do have a $1,978,479 revenue to offset the bottom line to $10,103,675. How do I go in reverse?
You can use the up and down arrows there.
All right, for emergency management, there's no full-time positions, no part-time positions. All the overtime is utilized to manage programs and training. We have no revenue. In 2023, a few of our accomplishments were that we received a grant to begin work on a town-wide COOP plan, which is a continuity of operations plan. We engaged with our citizens' emergency response team to help develop them and to expand their roles and responsibilities. And we actually activated them multiple times on multiple different scenarios. And we also completed and updated the town's emergency operations plan. Some goals for next year is with the grant that we received for the COOP plan is to complete the COOP plan townwide. We're going to have continued active threat planning and training. We have a number of large tabletop training events coming up. We did actually just apply for a grant to do some, some pretty intense active event, active threat training with Pinkerton Academy, with the police department. That's all going to be coming up in FY '24. We're going to continue to utilize our Citizens Emergency Response Team and try to bolster that program that we have, continue with their training and development. And another one of our goals is to bolster our remote pilot aircraft system, which are drone systems. We purchased in last year's budget, 23, purchased a new pretty high-tech drone, which has infrared cameras, can fly for a long period of time, has multiple cameras on it, and that has been deployed on a number of different occasions throughout the year. So the personnel and operating costs increased by 3%, as I said, and that was due to personnel cost increases with retirement and wages. There's no capital purchases. So with that, do you have any questions on the EM budget?
Anybody, questions, comments?
I have a comment.
Councilor Cho.
Yes, I'm just looking at the summary sheet, and it's basically $1,200 more than last year's budget, and that increase is basically in fuel. I didn't see any personnel increase at all, so where is that in the fireside budget? Or am I not looking at the right place here? I'm looking at benefits went down.
Well, the
Yeah.
fuel did go up.
Right. Gasoline, you have an extra 1,067, diesel, 344. I mean, those two lines right there, you basically your increase. Everything else is even, so
Okay, maybe I misspoke.
that's okay.
It was fuel increases.
Yeah, and I just want to make a statement. So I've been because I'm an old timer here, I've been very fortunate to see emergency operations, management operations, at least 2 or 3 times. The big Mother's Day flood, the ice storm that we had, and it really works very seamlessly. I mean, it's great. If anyone has a chance to, if you haven't seen it, you should schedule a time to go down and take a look at that, because the equipment's really good, and it runs like a top. So good job.
Yeah,
on
we
it.
have a state-of-the-art
It's awesome.
system downstairs, and there's a lot we can do remotely, and we have a lot of technology that would help
Yeah.
us out. And
I know Owen's seen it, right? You've seen it because
Right.
you share that section.
Absolutely.
Anyway,
Else?
if no one has any questions,
Nope, go right ahead.
I'll move the bottom line for emergency management of $45,469.
Second.
Okay, motion by Councilor Chericello, second by Councilor Spencer to move the bottom line, 45,469. On the motion, Councilor Chericello.
Yes.
Councilor Spencer.
Yes.
Councilor Katz-Corris.
Yes.
Councilor Flood.
Yes.
Councilor Grunetti.
Yes.
Councilor McEachran.
Yes.
The chair votes yes. Motion passes 7-0. All right,
All right, ready to move on to prevention and emergency services?
yes, we are.
All right. So between prevention and emergency services and dispatch, we have 77.5 full-time positions. We're not asking for any additional positions, which covers emergency operations, communications, and administrative personnel. Our revenue lines have increased by 7%. Our EMS revenues have been trending up pretty well over the last 3 to 4 years, and we have some increases in some contracts, our dispatch contracts with other towns. We have some increases in our dispatch contracts and some fire prevention permitting, so which gave us that 7%. And on the personal expense side, numbers increased by 2%, and that was contractual health insurance and retirement. Our operating expenses increased by 9%, which is just like everybody else is dealing with right now, is the fuel, electricity, trash. Everything's going up. I mean, just to buy a piece of fire equipment, or to service a piece of fire equipment, or to send somebody to training, the cost of doing business has gone up. For capital purchases and leases, and this year we have slated to purchase some portable hazmat gas monitoring equipment, which what we have now is at end of life. We're going to be replacing a fire prevention staff vehicle. We have some patient movement devices that we're going to be replacing, which are like, stair chairs and stretchers and stuff like that. And I believe this is more for the expendable maintenance fund. But we're going to renovate our Station 4 public bathroom, which hasn't been done as far as I know and since I've been here, which is about 30 years. And we're going to be replacing end-of-life dispatch console furniture for our dispatch center, which will be going over to the new station. Our overtime breakdown, this has been pretty consistent for the last 3 years, I believe. Operational shift coverage, this is making sure that all the seats are filled and all the stations are open. It keeps all the stations open, and that runs about $730,000 a year. Historically, $50,000 to cover overtime in communications division. Just emergency incidents where we have callbacks on a regular basis. We call them double tones. If we have large incidents, we have to call people back to cover the stations. That's where that'll go. Storm coverage, if we have big snowstorms or hurricanes or ice storms or anything like that, we'll tend to hire up to have more staffing on. The hazmat team, that's 100% reimbursable, but that's $17,000. And then we have a bunch of administrative functions that we have to do, like hiring new people, background checks, public education, SCBA maintenance, fire alarm maintenance, communications repair, off-duty fire and EMS training, safety and CQI, stuff like that. And that's where the remainder of the 908 will go. And what you'll see here, and I'm assuming I'll probably get that question, is the last few years we've actually overexpended our overtime budget. Last year pretty significantly. And that's really because it's not an accurate depiction of our overtime. For the last 3 years, we've been in a situation, I think it was the last half of 22, first half of 23, we had many people out. We had up to 18 people out that we were trying to fill positions with. And half of those were members that were out either on disability or workman's comp, and the other half we always have a revolving vacancy list, right, that we're always trying to fill. So in order to keep those positions filled, we've had to backfill those with overtime. Once our staffing levels out and it's more consistent, we'll get back into this and be able to manage that overtime within those numbers. So I just was pretty sure that question was going to come up. If you had to explain it before we get there. So any questions on the prevention and emergency services?
Council Chair.
You didn't even look at me.
I know. I don't have to.
He knows
Chief.
where the questions he knows where the questions are coming from.
I know my
Brian.
How are
colleagues.
we, same question that I asked police. How are we doing with dispatch
I like that.
positions?
Well, right now, we're full, but we just received a resignation letter from one person.
Okay,
They're leaving to go to the state.
yeah.
So, and then we're in the process of looking to backfill that position.
Okay, so we're, between fire and police, we're in a good position because again, I'm going back to the county now, we're asked, like the Seacoast, there's a couple of towns that are in really bad shape. And we're helping out where we can, but I'm being told that there's many more communities that are having a tough time, so.
Well, absolutely.
So retention is critical. And want to make sure that we're online with that. Training and conferences, you have an additional 22,000. Is that more training, or the cost of training is more expensive?
So it's a new program we're going to try out, and this goes to the, our struggle to hire people to fill the positions, so say like a paramedic's position. So instead of, in lieu of maybe, sign-on bonuses and stuff like that people throw around, we're looking at it, say maybe we can take a firefighter that wants to come to work for Derry and then help them go through paramedic school with that money. Because there's a lot of firefighters out there, There's a lot of medics out there, but for some reason, the pool of firefighter medics, very, very small and slim. And those, they're a commodity right now. It's just, it's
So let
crazy.
me ask you a quick question. Is that because of the stress of the job, or people just don't want to do it anymore? I mean,
I think there's a lot of factors. I think the public sector right now is very generous to anybody who wants to work in the private sector right now. I think the wages and the working conditions will
Yeah.
definitely kind of, especially the newer generation away.
right.
And so that's a little bit of a struggle. I will tell you that it's a lot of responsibility, especially being a paramedic nowadays.
Yeah,
It's a lot of work, it's a lot of stress, and a lot of responsibility. So you need to get people that love it,
right.
they want to do it, and they're okay with getting paid not a great wage, but a decent wage, right? So
Right. Well, to your point, the younger people are not necessarily worried about the retirement side of things because they'd rather have the money than retirement. It's the as you get older and getting closer to retirement age, that's more important. But it seems like the newer people getting into that field, it's not really a highly motivator.
no, it doesn't seem like it is. They bounce around a lot more than they used to.
Yeah.
Up until probably 10 years ago, most of the people you'd see retire from the fire department had 20-plus years on,
Yeah.
right? Now you got people, getting out at 20 and then sometimes leaving before 20. And then not only that, going from one department to another department.
Right.
So it's definitely, it's a moving target. And we definitely need to, hone our skills of recruiting
Right.
and retaining. We're doing a lot to do that. We're getting out in the community. We're getting out into the different schools. We're advertising, word of mouth, social media.
Right.
And then, trying to give those little incentives at this point, hey, you're a firefighter now. If we help you go through medic school.
So let me ask you a quick question. The sign-on bonuses, I asked police the same question, but you don't think that that's anything that we could use that would attract people, or no?
It would have to be a pretty hefty signing bonus, I think, and not only that, it's so temporary, and then who's to say they don't come here for a sign-on bonus and then leave 3 years later for another sign-on bonus, so.
Yeah, usually you get a sign-on bonus, you make them stay for X amount of time,
Yeah.
and then hopefully they get into a comfort.
Yeah, I think if we have something in place that invests in them,
Yeah,
like this, listen, we're gonna help you get your degree, we're gonna help you get your paramedic certification, we're gonna put you through fire school.
yeah. yeah.
We're gonna invest in you instead of just giving you a $2,000
Right.
bonus. I think that'll go a lot further. And, if this budget goes through and we still have that money, the proof's in the pudding, right? So
Yeah.
we'll try that program and see how that works. And if that works, we might be back
Okay.
here asking for more next year, so.
And one last thing, Mr. Chairman.
Yes.
You had mentioned the overtime, we budgeted, it went almost $500,000 over, right?
Yes.
Because of the issue with the staffing levels, that they're either sick or are out on family leave or whatever.
We had an extraordinary amount of people out. It's something I've never seen before. It was, like I said, we had 18 people out one time. My whiteboard
Okay.
was the top to the bottom. And at least half of them were out on workman's comp and disability, which it costs us more money when people are out on workman's comp and disability because we're paying 2 people essentially.
Yeah.
At least a vacant position, we have that money in a bucket and we hire overtime and the benefits roll-ups kind of offset that cost.
Yeah,
But when you're filling multiple workman's comp and disability,
Right.
it draws down that overtime pretty quickly.
and you feel it was just a blip year? It's not a
Yeah,
common...
well, we have one person out on, sorry, I know,
Don't drink yourself.
and we're doing a pretty good job. We have a pretty good, firefighters. We have like 3 EMS vacancies, paramedic vacancies. We have 3 or 4 coming up, firefighter vacancies, but we have all good candidates in the queue right now. And we have one that's we hired on Monday. He started, great guy. We have one that's getting his
It's a chair.
his physical and his drug testing done, so we'll give him his final offer when that's done. He's actually going to be a medic. So he was a conditional hire, and by the time he gets on, and by September, he'll be a medic, which is
Yeah.
really great.
Almost
And then we interviewed 4 new firefighters a couple days ago, Sean and I, and they were all great candidates, and we're going to be sending out conditional offers to them. So
Oh, that's awesome. Good news. Okay, thank you.
Anyone else? Councilor Gagnon. Oh, Councilor
have-
Spencer.
Thank you. I just have one quick question. I know for the hazmat, you say it's reimbursable, the overtime there. The portable hazmat monitoring equipment, is there any kind of cost sharing there? Like, is there any kind of reimbursement with that being used, or is that kind of our contribution?
No, it's the hazmat team. The 17,000 you see is the hazmat team. So when we have members that are on the Southern New Hampshire Regional Hazmat Team, right? And it's a great group. It's a great program that we pay into. That's when we send our people there to do training, or if they have a call, and they reimburse us that, and we basically, we say it's going to be about 17, because historically it's been around 17,000. If it's less, obviously we lose out a little bit. If it's more, we have an increased thing. But to get back to your question, is those monitors that we're replacing are for our apparatus, for our immediate response.
Okay, so
within
it's not for that team, it's
Yes.
for your own stuff. Okay, that makes sense. Thank you.
Councilor Gagnon.
I just wanted to just make sure I understand the personnel again. So 18 were out at some point in total, which obviously necessitated the overtime. We have 3 paramedic openings right now.
We have 3 paramedic openings, right?
Okay, so they're actual openings.
Vacancies,
How
yes.
many firefighter openings do we have right now?
Technically, we have, because we just hired one, we have one that's getting, well, if we don't count him, we have officially 2, right? Officially
Two more still open.
2 more still open.
Two letters.
What's that?
With the 2 letters.
Is that
With 2 letters, yeah.
People.
Oh, so we're putting out 2 letters of conditional offers.
And we think we're going to try to fill those.
Yes.
All right. Oh, good, all right. And the paramedics, you having the issues with that you already explained, so.
And that's not just our problem, it's a
yeah,
problem
nationwide. yeah,
nationwide.
Yeah,
So-
yeah. So I'm just curious, you had a new item here for soft tactical body armor. What is that? Help me out.
We want to be police
They're shooting the
officers
firemen now.
deep down inside.
Well, I just saw that, like soft tactical body armor for the EMS.
I'll let Chief
I'm just
Sean
kind of
Haggett.
curious, more than anything, I'm like, oh, that's interesting.
We're looking to enhance the protective equipment on we're starting with the ambulances. This is different than the ballistic equipment that we use for active threat situations. This is more to protect our responders when they're responding to incidents of domestic violence, for instance. Something where we know there's a risk. It should be more secured by the police, but it provides a level of protection to our providers. Examples of this would be when dealing with a psychologically challenged patient and they happen to pull a pair of scissors on you in the back of the ambulance, to offer a level of protection.
Okay.
Good idea.
Cool, yeah, no, it's a great idea. I did see one other thing here that I just want to get a handle on. Line 41,000, $14,000 utilization for the Central Fire Station electric. If we're leaving the station and building a new one, could you help me understand why I'd spend $14,000 on upgrading electrical?
No, I don't think that's full on. I believe that's the cost of,
I'm
what it costs.
on page 150, well, of my book, it's 150, and it says, number 1, Central Station electric, including dispatch power to the station.
That's power to the station. That's what we pay the grid to power the station. It's not we're doing any upgrades, yeah.
Okay,
And that will,
I just saw it there, I'm like, oh, I hope I'm not
Yeah,
upgrading. Maybe it's just the way it's written, right? So,
yeah.
I just want to make sure, like, I hope, I know you got about another year and a half or so to go, so just being somewhat judicious.
We have no plans to put a diamond in the station unless it's critical.
Well, obviously, that's
Yeah,
critical,
and,
right.
and you'll see once we get in the new station, we won't have those astronomical heating and electrical bills, because it'll be pretty,
Yes, I've been talking to the others about, you're kind of heating outside down there, so.
yeah, no
Because
doubt.
of the age of the station. Excellent. Okay, well, thank you very much. I appreciate the feedback.
Councilor Katsoukaris.
Thank you. I just wanted to know that patient movement device, is that the chair? that, you can't, that goes down automatically?
Stair chair.
So, yeah, powered stair chairs, yes, so that'll be something that we'll.
It's not
look at.
new.
What's that?
It's not new. I mean, you've had one before.
We have one powered stair chair.
Yeah,
And then we have 5 powered stretchers. But those are going to be different than the grant. We asked for that grant to do the powered
Yeah.
loading system and stuff like that. Those are different pieces of apparatus. Eventually, we're going to want 5 powered powered stair chairs, which will allow us to bring patients up to about 500 pounds up and down stairs without using any brute force.
Yeah.
They're balanced, they got tracks on them, and that's another way of retaining your employees, is if you have the state-of-the-art equipment that's going to help them with their longevity and their health. So that's one of the goals
thank you.
for purchasing equipment like
Other
that.
questions?
Nope.
Counselor Cho.
Yeah. Did you have a question?
I have a question.
I just had one quick question, and actually it's for both police and fire. So are we redoing the communications for radio dispatch? I know that the state has changed their programming, I believe. And I know we're doing it at the county, changing everything so that you can communicate with the state much better.
I am unaware of anything coming up. Right.
Speaking about Mutual Link,
Is that what it's called?
we have Mutual Link, it's a connectivity portal, so we're able to connect with other agencies around us.
Okay,
In a
Oh,
major
yeah,
incident,
okay.
we can pull other agencies and
okay,
DFT's on board with that.
yeah, okay. So you guys are all set with that?
Mutual Link.
Yeah, it's easier communication with the state police, and everybody can get on the
I
same page.
misunderstood. I thought you were saying they were reprogramming all the radios to
Oh, no,
different
no, no.
frequencies. Like, I haven't heard of that yet.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, let's move.
A couple questions. So just for everyone's edification, minimum manning per group is currently what?
15.
Okay. And,
We'll go up to 16, but we haven't seen that in a long time,
okay.
unfortunately.
And then the SCBA maintenance, you have some technicians currently on staff, correct? So that's a cost savings right there, having people in-house that can do a lot of this stuff. That's a big, huge savings.
Absolutely. So they do a lot of the bench testing, they'll do some minor repairs, do fit testing. It's a pretty good, I don't have any numbers for you, but it's definitely a cost savings.
No, it's definitely-
And only that's, it's not just a cost savings, it's a time savings. So we had to ship out all of our SCBA to get serviced. It could be 2, 3, 4, 5 weeks to turn around before you get something like that back, and we can do it right in-house. So it's a great program, and we have some great people working within that program. They do mostly on duty. So when things aren't busy and nothing else is going on, no training, I'll go in there and they'll spend hours in there, just keep making sure that our equipment is ready to go, safe and ready to go, so.
And then with the recent departure of our star educator, where does the public education stand now? And as far as the public training and stuff here in the administrative functions?
So I'd like to say that, that we haven't missed a beat, but, it's going to be very tough to, fill Chuck Hemian's shoes. The guy was such an asset, amazing person, great educator, committed to the town like you wouldn't believe. He's definitely missed, but I will tell you, we just promoted one of our own, Captain Ed King. He's a paramedic. He worked with Chuck for a few months before he left. He has a passion for what Chuck did. He's really moved into the position. He's doing really well. Hit the ground running. He's already created a bunch of his own programs, training programs. A good thing about the new position that we have with him is he can respond. So he's a firefighter and a medic, and he can respond to calls like a lot of our ancillary personnel do, like in fire prevention. If there's an EMS call across the street and Ed's here, as a paramedic, he can respond over there and get there in minutes, seconds. It's definitely an added benefit. But Ed King, he's our new EMS captain. We changed the name, and he's doing wonderful. So.
Turnout gear. So where do you guys stand with turnout gear as far as the life expectancy of those? I know everyone's, it's a moving, it's always fluid, right? Depending on when the guys got it and whatnot, so.
Yeah, well, it expires, has an expiration date, and just to mention with that it's almost doubled in cost to buy a set of turnout gear. I mean, but, anything you attach safety to or fire to or police to, it's twice as much money anyway, so.
So currently, is there any upcoming future purchases that we know of?
Yes,
like
we
a
have-
mass number of those?
Yeah, we have a plan in the CIP to, I believe it's a 2-year plan. We'll do 50% of the gear 1 year and then 50% of the gear during the next year. But that's not coming up until, I believe,
Right, for 4 per year right now.
so, no, the full 4 years is just for the new hires and stuff.
Yep.
But in the CIP, we have to replace everybody's on a cycle.
Right. I just want to make sure that we have that covered moving forward.
We do. I forget what years they are in the
Okay.
CIP, but we have it covered, and it's, we'll be ready to go when that time comes.
All right. And then on the same token, as far as the SCBA, what about that? Is that?
So we just received a grant in FY '22 for '23, and it was, we replaced all of our SCBA. We actually got extra SCBA. We got some extra bottles through a federal grant. And we got a new air compressor and a filling station. And I don't know, I'm bad with numbers, but I think it was around $600,000. Do you remember that? About $600,000, and we just had a 10% cost sharing with that. And so our SCBA will be good for 10+ years now, so.
Okay. And then as far as the ambulances, as far as insurance reimbursement, do you know what percentage we're at right now as far as getting actual reimbursement on the revenue side of that? Roughly?
Reimbursement for billing, you think, are
Yeah.
you saying?
We're-
Last time I talked to, I haven't talked to Ed about it, but I thought it was in the low 80s,
Okay.
which is really good.
Yeah.
It's higher than it's much higher than the average.
Right, okay. I said, big shoes to fill, so I just want to make sure that,
Oh, yeah, Ed understands that's his main focus, considering he has about $1.4 million to keep up with of revenue.
Councilman McEachern.
So I actually did have, Charlie just inspired a question. How many ambulance calls did we do in 2022, and how many fire calls?
I do not have that. I know we
I'm
did.
just curious.
Yeah, I know we did 5,500 calls for both services.
Okay, so wait, 5,500 for both.
Yeah, actually, you know something, I do have that.
Oh. More of a curiosity than anything,
Sure.
no particular.
No, because that would have been Central Station. I don't have that exact number, but I can get that to you pretty
I'm just
quickly.
curious.
I have it on a spreadsheet.
5,500 is a big number.
Yeah, we did 4758 in 2020. We did 5,096 in '21. We did 5,569 in '22. And
What was that one, 5,500?
in '69.
Last year.
And we're well ahead of schedule this year already. We're at about 1,600 calls since January.
And what was 2021?
5,096.
Okay,
Mr. Chairman,
thank you.
Councilor Churchill.
there's no further questions. I would, unless someone has one,
No.
I would like to move the bottom line for fire department of $11,963,991.
Second.
Okay, motion by Councilor Churchill, second by Councilor Katsoukaris to move the bottom line, 11,963,991. Councilor Churchill.
Yes.
Councilor Spencer.
Yes.
Councilor Katsoukaris.
Yes.
Councilor Flood.
Yes.
Councilor Granessi.
Yes.
Councilor McEachern.
Yes.
Chair votes yes, 7-0. Thank you, chiefs.
Thank you.
Thank you. Just one
Good
question.
job.
Did you guys turn the heat up to sweat us out? Is that what?
I know, it's brutal.
I was saying, Council Borden's gone, so net zeros, so we cranked him up.
I mean, not a question, but I must admit, I'm disappointed in one thing, because the last time I served for 9 years, every single night, Chief Klaba made sure that there was a fire engine that went by during the budget
Oh, my
time.
God.
Right,
And
exactly,
I'm
yes.
duly
Yes.
disappointed that I haven't heard the
Yeah.
fire engine go
I
by
know.
tonight.
I-
We know-
For 9 years, Klaba made sure a fire engine went by during the budget.
That
Right,
was-
Phyllis?
Oh, my
Phyllis?
God.
Famous
yeah.
when the town hall was where CVS is, and you'd actually see
In the old
lights go
town
by.
hall, he made, and even before George Klaba,
year.
there was always a fire engine that went by during the budget, so.
Right.
I missed the fire engine tonight.
Well, we know someone.
Yeah.
Great.
They were responding.
Council Chair, do you have another motion?
Yeah.
Yes, motion
But
to
they were out
adjourn.
on 28 bypass when I came here.
Motion
Oh,
by
were
Council
they,
Chair
yeah.
Chodos
Yep.
Yeah.
to adjourn, second by Council Spencer. On the motion, everybody?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Make sure. All right, meeting adjourned.
Seriously, the
Oh, yeah.